as we talk through the chapters, the iodine issue will come up again and I'll talk about it. But if it's not there, things won't work, especially in a process of biological function. And then if it's not there, it will also show up in a predominance of male calves or lambs, because the female fetus needs 7 times more iodine than the male fetus. So if there's no iodine and you don't have this when you conceive, and you have a heifer or a ewe lamb in the uterine, and it gets to a point where it's critical and there's none there, it'll abort. And it'll abort quite quickly in the first 3 to 6 weeks.
Okay, yes. So it's not doing something where it's changing the sex of the beast. It's
No,
just going to abort the one that won't be viable.
That's right. And, I've had that experience, and I saw that critically time and time again, where people go, I've got all these bloody bull calves, which is great, or something, I can't get enough replacements. They go, we better check your iodine levels and your herbage test, and they come back and there wasn't any there, or so tiny, and go, well, there's your issue there. And these were...
That's got to be brand new information for a lot of people.
I guess it is, but it was just such a critical thing, and as we talk about the next chapter, and that where it hit me smack right in the middle of the head, And you see these things and you just correspond them and go, test, I see what's happened. Now I understand the interaction between these parts of biology, what they need, where they came from, and why we need to put it in there. And that was the great learning curve of being out there in amongst so many farms, because, as I said in the book, the problem that came up wouldn't come up just on one farm. It'd arrive on 3 or 4 at the same time. People would go, they've got this problem. And I'm going, okay. These 4 or 5 farms have all got something in common, and I need to find out what that commonality is. And invariably, we'd find out what it was and then move on with that process. I guess it's just part of that whole process of the more you learn, the more you realise you don't know. But if you keep open to whatever's required, you'll find it. And somebody's written about it, somebody's researched it, somebody's done that stuff already. And if you go through all the Acres USA's books and then put them all together, the amount of research and understanding, there's thousands of years of research put together in these books, and if you're willing to you can actually read all these. Okay, so when you're out experimenting, you go, I remember what he said about that, and over there, that's what they did over there, and then, okay, now I understand why that worked. Even the researcher might not have known why it worked, but
they documented it, and
totally,
you could then use that later when people found out why.
Yeah, well, I'm quite happy to say, Christ, standing on the shoulders of giants like Albrecht and all these great researchers that put their whole lives into these amazing things.
And they were so rigorous about documenting it, and which helped people later when they found out what it really meant, if they didn't know then. Well,
that's the thing is, like, when you look at Davis and Rawls with their electromagnetic research and that, when you do what we've done and learn about the electricity in the soil, which they didn't actually talk about,
right?
And then you go, holy shit,
it came up there.
Yeah, they've documented it all for me.
Yeah,
and I can actually go through it. Cool. I see. I know what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about, why you're talking about it, and where it fits in.
It's great when they do that. It really shows they're open-minded to what they're seeing, as opposed to, I'm only going to focus on this thing and ignore these other results.
Totally. And that was the same thing with Callahan and paramagnetism and all that sort of stuff. I just kept on saying, okay, I see where you're on about now, because this is the practicality of what we're seeing on the farm.
So in terms of experiments, was the serpentine knowledge and information something that came from those books, from Acres, from...
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And what we did, the next chapter, I will expand on that, because it does. It just, what happened, because I used the serpentine before, and that was a bit of a waste of money. But
so it didn't, or it did change your perspective on soil nutrients?
The first time I used it, I didn't get bugger all of a result out of it.
Okay.
And it was only when I went back the second time, and these other parts about the next chapter, the beach, kick into the gear, and then all of a sudden the bells went off, the whistles went, the dancing girls came out. And
it's probably good you said that. I'd say it's probably good you said that, because I'm sure someone listening to this is going, serpentine, I've tried that. But maybe what they're about to hear will change everything.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we can't get that product anymore, which is a shame.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yeah,
What's the next closest approximate version of that?
there isn't one. I actually would like to get hold of some for berry growing and things like that, but you've got to use a couple of different things, or you get your soil to function a bit better by some other inputs. But we'll talk about that in the next chapter, why it actually kicked into gear and all that sort of stuff.
Keen to know why serpentine's not available anymore.
Yeah.
What did you learn about the geological diversity of New Zealand through your work with serpentine?
You hear these geologists and say like Gondwana land and it came from all part or a bigger part, and you go, yeah, whatever. But then when you're actually doing this and you're looking at these serpentine rocks and you're going up and down, that's the same as way down there, and then you realise that those rocks are exactly the same as on the edge of the Blue Mountains behind Sydney, and that's where it split.
So the geologists were right or wrong?
Yeah, they were right.
They were right. So let's go back to Sydney, Blue Mountains.
Well, the whole of the framework of New Zealand Aotearoa, it broke off the edge and drifted out this way.
Okay.
And we had lots of volcanic activity, and then the Southern Alps went up, but the framework, the original spinal framework, came from there.